All right, guys. So, as a lot of you may know, democratic socialism is on the rise in America, with a lot of socialist democratic candidates that have been winning democratic primaries all over this country. And to me, that is very concerning. And it's even caught the attention of the biggest podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan, and he has began to speak out against this. And as many of you may know, Joe Rogan used to be kind of a lefty, but I think since then he has pivoted towards this center, and I think he is an independent that is right-leaning, much like myself. And I personally like a lot of Joe Rogan's takes, and I like his take on socialism. It's even caught the attention of a lot of media outlets who have been taking note of this and what's being said. So let's get into it. Here's Breitbart. It says, Joe Rogan explains the fatal flaw with democratic socialists. You cannot just steal people's money. Podcast megastar Joe Rogan dismantled the appeal of socialism as democratic socialists of America candidates eke out wins in Democrat primary contests across the nation. I personally find this very concerning. I think it's scary. I think for the future of America, this is something we should take note of. And I think Republicans should take note of this and start implementing and focusing more on domestic issues rather than international issues that majority of Americans besides baby boomers give a care about. Because I, as a Gen Z person, don't really care about international conflict. I don't really care how it affects our allies. All I care about is domestic issues and America only. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, let's see what he had to say on this podcast about this.
But it's the idea comes from a good place. I know in their heart of hearts they think that they're being kind and they think that they're doing the right thing. They really do. They think they're being inclusive. They think they're righting the wrongs of colonialism. They really think that.
Yeah. Okay, let me pause you there, Joe Rogan. I think it's some capacity they do think they're doing the right thing for America. But they're doing that because they hate America and what America stands for. They hate colonialism, they hate capitalism, and they see that a lot of Americans are frustrated with the current state of America right now. With that, what that means to me is they're frustrated with economics. They're frustrated that they can't buy homes. They're frustrated that we as young people are making more money than people in the past. They're frustrated that they can't buy homes. They can't buy groceries. They're barely getting by, and they did everything they were supposed to do. They went to college. They did all the right things, and now they're in crippling debt. The government doesn't care, and all our tax dollars are being shipped overseas to a place that 99.9% of us will never go. And to me, that's a very rightful frustration. But I do not think that socialism is the answer. But I do think that that is the exact reason why socialism is going to continue to rise. And I think that that is falling on deaf ears with Republicans because they are very insistent on focusing on Iran and Israel. And honestly, that's the reason why Democrat socialists are gaining popularity. I think that closing the border was phenomenal, but I think that is like the tippy tip of the iceberg. I think that the economy is more important than anything. You need to address the high cost of living. You need to address the high cost of gas. You need to address the high cost and the fact that millions of Americans are drowning and unable to get ahead in America. I think that this is something that a lot of Republicans sweep under the rug, and they continually call Americans and young people lazy. And I, for a fact, know that that is a lie. I think that I think that's very tone deaf. I think it's irresponsible, and I think that it is a baby boomer misconception, and I'm tired of hearing it. I'm dead tired of hearing it. Anyone who says that young Americans are lazy, unqualified, and don't want to work is a fucking idiot, and I will never support you in anything, period. I think that we need America First candidates that prioritize American issues and the things that majority of Americans care about, and I think that we need to get rid of H-1B visas because I think that that is undercutting American workers and the job market, and it only benefits corporations while Americans get screwed. Just my take. But let's listen to Joe Rogan here.
And they think that this idea of democratic socialism is a really good idea because there are some examples of socialist policies that do work, like the fire department, and there's a bunch of stuff that makes sense. But the problem with enforcing any of this stuff that they don't understand is it always comes down to power. You have to have massive authority and usually guns.
Thanks.
Because you can't just steal people's money. They're not going to let you. They're not going to let you just come in and decide, hey, we just devised a new tax where everybody who makes more than $500,000 a year, everything over that, you have to give 100% to the state.
Or 95, whatever it is.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing with the argument. Even if you said, oh, wouldn't it be great if they did contribute more, and wouldn't it be, but they have so much money, wouldn't it set up the world in a better place? Sure. But the fucking program that you have in place that takes the taxes and disseminates it is massively flawed and corrupt. It's corrupt. It's filled with waste. Filled with waste. There's scammers all over the place. You've got $24 billion missing in just the homeless in California. And then they veto the audits when everybody's trying to find out. So just saying,
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
More taxes is what we need is nuts.
I completely
The first
agree.
thing you should do is clean your fucking house. Clean your house. If you want more money, you got to figure out what you did with the first money. Why is there so much waste? Why is there so much money missing? Why do you have 38,000 NGOs? Why do the people running the homeless business, because it is a business, why are they making $750,000? That's a lot of money.
It's a lot to administrate the homeless camps.
Yeah,
Joe.
they need to eat well. They need to go to Felix and have a nice dinner.
It's hilarious to me, too. You saw all the waste and fraud that's been going on in these various states when it comes to, elder people getting their funds, right?
Yes.
You've seen all of this happening. And, of course, they're all trying to run away from it as quickly as possible. But this is the problem, and I bring it back kind of to this idea of the class system. When you have under universal suffrage especially, when you have the voters outnumber the wealthy, you can just vote yourself a raise. You can always vote yourself more money from whatever the upper class is. And that has been progressive dogma and doctrine since I was a kid. The entire idea is, hey, things are fundamentally unfair, and that's not your fault. So what we have to do is get together and vote ourselves a raise from the upper class. That's what we got to do. But it fundamentally ignores how wealth is created. And wealth is not created by giving somebody money.
Right.
Facts.
But what happens when you give somebody money is they go and spend it.
Facts.
But they usually don't use it to generate wealth.
Facts.
Almost never, in fact, do they use it to generate wealth. And so you vote yourself these raises. You vote yourself from the public treasury money to yourself. But what does it actually do for you ultimately? Because that's not how you generate wealth. Ever.
Not only that, you incentivize people to move to a place that's more friendly to their economic ideas.
True. You also, but one of the fundamental kind of ideas here that's flawed, how many times can you vote yourself the wealth of those above you before they have no more wealth to give you? Out east, in fact, when you see these communists, Mamdani, things like this, they're going to institute all of their programs on your dime. It's not like they have money. And whenever I talk to people about wealth disparity, what's really funny to me is they always seem to think that the government can just materialize wealth without there having to be some payback for that wealth.
Yeah,
we saw this during COVID-19 and the lockdowns. You remember they were handing out money like it was candy to various businesses that were shut down, COVID relief funds, things like this. And then they go, oh, inflation's out of control. Yeah, is it? You're kidding, is it? Do you mean the government can't just materialize $1 trillion and not inflate the money supply? Well, that's just go figure.
Right.
And so a lot of times these socialists, they even try to make the promise like, hey, we're only going to tax them after this rate, but it's never enough money for them to fund their socialist programs to begin with. The government will have to materialize money.
Not only that, if you give them more money, they're going to expand the government.
100%.
They will expand. And they will expand their programs, they'll expand the fraud, and they'll expand the waste. The other weird thing that Mamdani's done is make a list of all the people that are rich.
Rich people in the database.
Yeah.
That's their
He
targets.
released a list of all the people that may have to pay more taxes. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You just made a list of targets.
Wow.
And you
just said Joe Rogan.
you're putting these people in a bad position. Like that seems
They have every reason to leave
really
now.
crazy to do.
But don't you think that these people,
I'm gonna stop him right there. That was a phenomenal conversation, guys. And I think what they're getting at is I agree with a lot of the stuff they're talking about. Really pretty much all of it. And I think the biggest problem with people that support socialism is that a lot of their frustration is at the government, but their solution is to give the government more power, let them take more of our money, and in return, they'll take care of us. And I think that's incredibly dumb because it's like if you're frustrated, right? If you're frustrated that you think the government is ignoring our problems. They're prioritizing other things while they scrape off money and get rich and claim to pump billions of our tax dollars into problems, and nothing gets fixed. Things are getting worse. Why would we give the government more power? Why would we ensure our safety with the government? I mean, that's completely backwards and it's dumb. And not only does Democrat socialism give the power to the government, it gives them the power to take more of our money, to tax us more. We will own nothing and we'll be reliant on the government and we'll be completely controlled. Like Joe Rogan said, it gives the government ultimate authority. And like he said, it's only going to make them expand, implement more programs. And we already know the programs that they're implementing are not working. They're taking our money. They're spending incredible amounts to fix these problems. And I like the fact that they're focusing on California, because California is the ultimate example of this. Billions of dollars spent on homelessness. Homelessness has increased. It's worsened. Why? Where's this billions of dollars going? They don't know. Billions of dollars spent on Medicaid and old folks. And this money is getting scraped. Nick Shirley went and exposed this, and they implemented an act and banned him from exposing it. And the Democrats there are like, yeah. It's like, you guys are idiots. It's like you claim that the Republican government is an issue. It's a problem. Yet the Democrat government is the same thing. It's two wings of the same bird. It's like, I've never understood this argument that one side is bad and the other side is good when it's all the government. And if we're going to be mad at the government, we need to be mad at the entire government. It's all a failure. It's like to me, as someone who voted Republican and fell for all this red rave talk, I'm a little frustrated. I think that we were promised America first policies, America first focus, no new foreign wars. And I feel like the focus is on a foreign war. It's constantly been egged on. We've been told that, oh, it's going to end in a week. It's going to end in a week. It's going to end in a week. There's a ceasefire, peace deal. And every time there's a peace deal, it's violated within a few hours. It's extended. Gas prices are high. Groceries are high. People can't afford anything. I feel like the biggest thing that's been delivered is the border being closed. And I'm frustrated, but I would never turn to socialism. Sorry, I wouldn't do it. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think giving the government more power, more of our money, and ultimate authority over us is the solution. I'm sorry. To me, the solution is us as the citizens saying, hey, we won't vote until you give me exactly what I want. And if you don't give me what I want, I'll never fucking vote for you again. You or anyone like you again. That to me is the solution. But I think that is another reason why democratic socialists are gaining power, because people are frustrated with the way things are going. And then you have these new people who hate the system. They hate America. They push this rhetoric that's anti-American, and people who are so frustrated with the current American government and the way things are going, and that are easily impressionable and are the bottom of society, and they want a handout, are going to fall for this. And that to me is what it is. They're fresh faces with fresh ideas, like, ooh, shiny. But to me, as a logical thinking person who will never abandon logic and think with emotion, I won't fall for it and I won't stand for it. And I think something needs to be done about this. And I think this is something that Republicans should take note of, because Democrats only care about power. And this is something, socialism is something that ensures total power for them. So if these are the popular candidates, they're going to rally behind them. Like at first, a lot of people didn't want to get behind Mondami, but now look at it. Now we got democratic socialists popping up and winning elections everywhere. This is something that should be on the radar of everyone in politics on both sides of the aisle, and it's something that should take note of, and it's something that needs to be addressed ASAP. But hey, let me know what y'all think in the comments. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more content.